Well, we're ready for the Smithburg Auto Scoreboard Show. It's going to cover both Friday and Saturday. There was a lot of action on both days. We thought we'd let you know what happened Friday and Saturday. My guest is Jeff Mills, who is a basketball aficionado extraordinaire. He has some scores for you, Jeff. Welcome to the program. Well, what do you got for us here for where do you want to start at? Friday night, Saturday night? Where are we starting?
What do you think? We can start with Friday if that works for you. Seem to be a little more going on Friday night.
All right, let's talk about it.
I guess I'll just start at the game I was at. I went to see Hillcrest Academy, who is still unbeaten in conference play. I watched them play at L&M and Let's. They pretty much controlled that game. I think the final was 75-44, something along that. Yeah, 75-44 was the final score on that. L&M jumped out, got a 9-0 run, start the game off, was looking hot. I mean, like I said, 9-0 starting off the game. The Hillcrest come out with a 9-0 run of their own. And I think at the end of the first, they held a 18-13 lead or something like that. And from then on, it was pretty much all Hillcrest. But I was impressed with. There wasn't one guy that stood out for me for Hillcrest. Usually there's a guy on the court who is just like the complete game changer, a guy who just can completely turn a game around. I didn't really feel that way about any one particular player for Hillcrest. I was just really impressed with how they played together. They're disciplined. They just play really well together, and they don't make a lot of mistakes. And that's going to be a tough challenge for any team that plays them in the North this year, just because they don't make mistakes. So if you don't have anything to capitalize on, you're not going to have a good chance to beat them. But it was a fun game to watch. I don't know. I think the Rowan Miller may have led them in scoring. Like I said, I don't even know a lot of the kids' names because there were so many kids contributing. Oscar Klein for L&M. He always shines out for L&M. Outside of that, Owen Clockstein, he's a good player down low, but the Ravens had their way with Falcons in that one, so they move on, went undefeated, and then I did see they played again today versus Lone Tree and got another conference win, so they're still undefeated after the weekend.
Yeah, I got to see Hillcrest once. They played Fairfield. Fairfield played very well, but Hillcrest don't miss any free throws. And it's really hard to beat a team.
That's kind of what I was trying to get at. They don't do anything wrong.
They don't have a Michael Jordan or any great player, but they have three very good players. This Scott kid is very good. Rowan Miller is very good, and this Bailey kid. He is a terrific center. Like, I don't know if he's their very best player, but he's the very best player in the paint. And he's just really gets to a lot of balls, and he can jump and move around, and he can score. They just, like you say, their thing is they play together better than anybody. I ain't seen anybody play any better than them. But Hillcrest is on top of the leaderboard there, as they say. But Waco and Winfield, which we'll get around to talking about when we talk the Saturday games, they are kind of right on their heels. But and Pekin is another team that's kind of over there that's kind of at the top. Well, is that enough about that game?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, what game are we talking about next?
Let's just go up and we'll go through the North scores first here. I seen Waco took down Columbus 67-44. You were at that game.
That game was on there. It was Columbus played terrific in the first half, and they went to the half down 29-26 as Little Poison Ellis Hills Carrier hit a free throw or hit a 3-pointer right at the buzzer to really bring them all the way back to where they're only down 3 points. But the second half did not go their way. Columbus was very impatient. They would get the ball down there and it's like shoot within the first 5 seconds, and then Wake would rebound it and they go down there and score, and then Columbus would go down there and shoot, and seemed like they shot 23 3-pointers that didn't go down, and they did hit a few, but it was the first half. It seemed like they're looking for good shots, making good shots, In the second half, it didn't go their way, but Ellis Hills Carrier did something in that game that I was pretty proud of. In that first half, when they did get kind of behind, he just kind of took it upon himself, and he just get at the top of the key, and he just drive to the basket. Sometimes he'd make it, sometimes he'd get fouled, but he was a big, big chunk of it, and he was coming off of that 44-point win. I don't know if they played today or not, but kind of a hard loss. The JV team wins again. They're terrific. They just look really good. That JV team, they got some good players coming up through the system. And some of them kids didn't in the JV game did come out there and play a little bit on the varsity towards the end of that game, or at least in the second half. But Columbus is still only 4-4. They've got 4 wins, which is a lot, considering 6 wins the most they've had in like 20 years or something. But I gotta believe that Columbus is gonna get back into winner's circle soon, and they're going to be on Round Guy Radio again next Friday as they take on Lone Tree, and I think that's going to be a great matchup for them. They did get the better of it in the first meeting, but Lone Tree is kind of scratching and clawing their way back into the trying to find themselves somewhere in the middle of the pack this year. But I think I'm excited for that game. But Waco played good in that game. Waco, they didn't change what they did from the first half to the second half. They just kind of, played really smart basketball, and they just kept control of the ball, and they moved it around, and they, shot it when it made sense for them. But they were cool, calm, and comfortable and relaxed, where Columbus was kind of desperate to bang out some threes and try to, crawl their way back into it. But it was a nice Friday night. We're coming back off of the break, so I'm not sure everybody's going to be 100%. And then I'm not sure that you eat an entire ham and turkey, and then you get on the basketball court and you run real good and hard and everything. But Coach Roth did a great job in that game, and he kept his players, in the game and alert, and might have been the best performance we've seen them. We've had plenty. They've been on the radio. Waco's been getting a lot of games on Round Guy Radio. We just did the varsity game. We didn't do the JV game because there's a JV game and a girls game, and I don't like to be just sitting around for the whole time afterwards. But but that's the game I was at, and it was a kind of a lopsided win for Waco. What other games are we talking about here?
Also, you brought up Peak, and they had a big win over.
Oh my gosh, I did watch that.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about it. I just seen they won 80-38.
Well, that's pretty good.
And then also down there in the north, we got Winfield Mount Union only beat Wapello 38-33, which has me questioning some things, but that must have been a closer game than I would have thought it was. Wapello has been playing pretty good, apparently, because they hung with West Burlington today. West Burlington did win 58-43, but that was a closer game than I would have thought it would have been. The way West Burlington's been playing, they've been lights out. So, good for Wapello. They must be turning things around.
They got a pretty good game against Winfield Mount Union Friday. I don't quite remember the score, but it was low score.
It was 38-33 was the final, which I kind of thrown back on that one. I wasn't really expecting that.
Well, Winfield's had some trouble scoring this year. Their scoring is low, but what's way lower is their opponent scores. They can't, I think they might have held Lone Tree down into the 20s. And only 33 points for Wapello is not putting a lot of points on them, but their defense is pretty stellar. And I think they're a much better defensive team than offensive team, but it's led them to quite a few wins. And we'll talk about the game with Waco here as soon as we're done with these. I got Andy McGuire, who was at tonight's game for Keota. They did not play Friday night, but we'll try to loop him into this call here and see what he knows here. I think he's ready. If he answers the phone, we'll be happy. Let me see. I don't know if it's
Andrew McGuire.
Oh, he's
not available.
He's not available. We'll have him call us in later. Can you still hear me, Jeff? Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get back to him later on. tell me what other games are you still there? Okay, I thought maybe I hung up on you. I've done that before, but I'm trying to look at the KCII scoreboard to see what other scores we can get. What other game were you kind of paying attention to last night?
Well, the big one I think was Meepo and Central Lee, which you've kind of hinted on. Central Lee led the first three quarters. Meepo comes back a big 3-pointer from Worrell.
Yeah, that was the big game. Centrally and Meepo was the big game Friday night. None of the other games are really all that close or anything too shocking to talk about. There's some numbers and points and everything that we want to talk about, but that was the one game that was pretty big.
And they pulled out the 59-54 win there.
Okay.
And then Shea Stevens, Burlington Notre Dame, still unbeaten with the 72-38 win over Danville.
Yep. And yeah, I think he has 30 points in that game, too.
Nice. That kid, man, he's something else. I can't wait to watch him. I got him on my radar. I just haven't.
Well, we had him on 2 times this year, and in the last time he just set the highlight reel ablaze with 3 incredible dunks that were just athletic feats to behold, as far as getting up in the air and spinning around backwards and dunking it with 2 hands, and I mean, hanging there. And he has a lot of ability. That kid is one of the best basketball players we got going around. They did get the win. I think it was over Danville. Pretty good win. Danville is a very good team, but there ain't anybody laid a glove on Burlington Notre Dame. Central Lee probably did the best against them, but you can just give the ball to Shea Stevens and let him do Shea Hay stuff, and he's going to make life hard on you there. But so that's that game. Let's see what else we can talk about.
The Holy
Scores.
Trinity Crusaders with the win over New London, 53-30.
Yes, they get the win there. Let me kind of kick it back over here. Looks like I don't know too much about that game other than the score of the Holy Trinity game, but it looked like they played well. I do think Lane Rung played very well. The Washington Demons get an 86-65 win over the Fort Madison Bloodhounds. The Hoy kid is back for Fort Madison. Scotty was there. Scotty said he got in a little foul trouble. But when they got that big kid in the lineup, they're a heck of a lot better team. Fort Madison's been kind of kicking around. It looks like they play pretty well in this game. The Washington Demons, have you seen them play? They seem to be kind of on a roll here.
I was going to bring that up at one point, yeah. I mean, 86 on the scoreboard, that's a big night. But then they come around and play Clear Creek Amana today, and they pick up a 3-point win, 75-72 on the road at Clear Creek Amana, which is never an easy place to play. I've been up there, since my boy was playing, and Clear Creek Amana always has a good program, and so they seem to be on the right track right now. They're 7-2. 3-1 in the conference, second place behind only Keokuk, which is the only conference team that's beat them so far. So that's great to see. I may be a little biased because my kid went there and played there, but good for him and good for Coach Stark.
Well, Clear Creek Amana, that means Aston Kusher will be very unhappy tonight. That's his alma mater. I think he bought him a scoreboard or something that they're using up there. Well, the Washington Demons are playing great this year, and they get another win, another couple wins here, although we're skipping a little ahead there. Pekin and Highland, it is 80-38. I did watch that up at the Wells Fargo Arena. The camera was so far away, the players looked like ants, but really nice to get a game at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And Nolan Glick, in particular, had a bunch of, it seemed like he had to hit a 3 at the buzzer in the first, second, third, and fourth quarter there. I know he hit that one to give him 80 points right at the bell, and that was a pretty good one for him. Now, let me see. I can go through some of the notes that we got out of Mr. Cody Van Fleet there. Let me see. He texted me. I'll read some of the highlights because he had some information. It's like he said that he talks about that Will Worrell hitting a 3-pointer. It was huge right at the end to kind of seal that deal. They were behind, I think, all 3 quarters. Meepo was. Central Lee's a really great team, but Meepo gets it done, and that's a big deal. The Danville, Shea Stevens, the Notre Dame 72, Danville 38, Shea Stevens with 30 points. West Burlington 81, Van Buren 39. Aiden Figueroa with 27 point, Lotso with 21 points in that game. Just the scores on that and the scores on this Keokuk Mount Pleasant game. Let's talk a little bit about that. He doesn't have any point totals for players in that game, but it's 61-49 win. Keokuk Chiefs, how about them?
I've only watched Washington play once and Keokuk play once, and it was versus each other. So it wasn't really fair for the Demons, but man, Keokuk, they're tough. That Clark kid was impressive. You even commented you watched the highlight reel I put together of that kid, and I think everybody knows it, but it just watching him play, it's a lot of fun. He's a fun one to watch. He's a talented kid, and I'm hoping I get a chance maybe to watch them play again. And I'm definitely gonna go watch the Demons play again. But Keokuk,
We had them, Keokuk and Notre Dame, playing each other in a preseason half game tilt down at Holy Trinity, and it was fun to watch those two guys go at each other,
yeah.
and neither one of them was in the kind of form that they're in now, but it was a terrific game. And Keokuk, I think it's a 2 or 3 point win in that. It was really right down to the wire there, but very exciting game. Well, I believe that brings us up to Saturday, unless you've got some other Friday scores that I don't know about.
No, that was everything I had wrote down.
I know Sigourney and Kyoto did not play, but let's start. I'll look up a little information I've got on that Keokuk game anyway. Tell me a little bit about the game that you and I were at. Just start talking about the Winfield Waco game. That was just such a great, exciting game all the way down to the end.
Yeah, that was my first time getting to watch both them teams play. I've been uh, trying to get them both on the radar. It just hadn't worked out up to this point, but here we are. And, you and I have been kind of doing this together. I mean, we've known each other for 2 or 3 years, but anytime Winfield, Mount Union, and Waco get together, it seems like it's a banger. So I thought, you know what? Looking at the conference and looking at the standings, it's probably going to be another banger. And it was. It was a great ball game. Both teams were back and forth. Either team one team would get on top, the other would come back, pull away a little bit, and then the other team would respond and come back and pull it another way. So it was a fun one to watch. The Milk Skid had some big buckets down the stretch that kind of pulled it out for him a little bit. He did miss a few free throws, but it didn't matter. And Winfield came out on top. But it was probably one of the most entertaining games I've watched all season long as far as score-wise and all that stuff goes. So Winfield will trail Hillcrest now and have one loss in their column, and I think they get another matchup with Hillcrest, but don't quote me on that. So,
Well, I think they do. But Waco looked really good. But it just seemed, and they kept tying the game up, but it just seemed like, at the end of the fourth quarter, the team that plays the best in the last couple minutes of the game wins. And I think that was what we come out here to. Tell us a little about some of the players you enjoyed watching.
for Waco, the Hughes kid, Holden Hughes, he's a really good player. I enjoyed the guards. I don't know. I got the thing in front of me. I know the Nick West kid played a great game, hit some big threes. But what threw me off was seeing Isaac Egley in a red uniform because I had no idea that he had transferred to Winfield. So I'm used to seeing him in the other side of the table, and nobody updated me. So that was kind of a loop for me. But he played great for the Wolves, and
Yeah, Shellman plays good. West plays good. Holden Hughes plays pretty good. Holden Hughes gets a lot of rebounds. Doesn't score as many as he normally would. There was some pushing and shoving in there, and there's some hard fouls and guys making it. But Waco does hit a bunch of 3-pointers, right? When they get behind and they could catch up pretty quick. But
threes.
but let's talk a little bit about some of these players that were kind of. I don't know there's any super standouts for Winfield Mount Union because it's so balanced, I like Colin Anderson's performance tonight. It was much better than I would have expected out of him. He was pretty good on the defense. He kind of maneuvered his body around. He made some big blocks. He did score some points, but also so did Milks. Milks really played good tonight too.
Yeah, And the Anderson kid, I think he's just a sophomore, so he's going to develop and continue to contribute as he grows. But he played great tonight, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Made some big plays, and older brother Grant as well did his thing when his number was called. When he needed to come up with a big play, he made some big rebounds and stuff for the Wolves. What were you calling it? Sparrow? What was the nickname?
Oh, I call him the Birdman of Alcatraz.
That's right. That was good. That was good. It was nice to have the crowd around you that appreciated all that.
Yeah, they were liking that. We had some great celebrity referees tonight, and I'd heard that I don't know if my voice was coming through as good in the first half. I heard it was better in the second half, but normally I'm right down there by the floor, but there was no spots available, and I wound up having to kind of get up a little higher than I wanted to. I think I still got a pretty good camera angle on it, but did have the privilege of sitting next to you, and that was. Although I hesitate to get too close to a guy as handsome as you because it really kind of puts me in a bad light there. But
I'll take it.
well, but I don't know. I always ain't any season. And by the way, I think it's 5 years that we. I'm going to say it's 5 years because it was 5 years. But we've been around a while, and you was around way before us doing your thing. It did take me long to run into you somewhere, some way. I have no idea where it was or how it started, but I'm glad it did because it's been a good addition to us for a lot of years. Actually, you're on the cover of the Round Guy Radio Facebook page, to be honest with you. We'll see if you ever look at that picture we took at the Winfield game with you and me and Scotty and that other kid. I can't remember what his name was, but he was also handsome. I was the least handsome fella. Actually, Coach Edwards was the one that took that picture for us. Yeah. It was nice. We're always, Scotty wasn't there tonight. I don't know what he was doing. I hadn't talked to him today, but we were pretty enthusiastic about the basketball season this year as well. Well, let's run down some other scores. Let me see here. Let me look back onto the KCII scoreboard page here. We do, okay, so Moravia and the Kyoto Eagles battle today. I haven't heard anything back from him, but the Kyoto Eagles get a 60-54 win, but it was right down to the wire, and Kyoto plays very good at the end of this game and takes a victory lap on this one, and that's a nice little win for Kyoto, just since they didn't have to play last night. The Golden Hawks of Mid-Prairie, they take on the Solon Spartans. They go up to Solon, and quite unusual for this year, they lose, and they lose big, 75-34. Solon just seems to be good at everything. They're also a 3A school. Probably always good, though, when you've got a good team to play some of the bigger schools, to kind of show you what it takes to win and to play in those games. But Mid-Prairie's having a heck of a season. That's the first loss that I know of. At least if they got one, it went on one of the scoreboard shows that I was reading. Hillcrest, 79. Lone Tree Lions, 53. I think 53 points is good for Lone Tree to put up on the board against a school that's really good like that. I think they're kind of coming on. We had them on with Van Buren in that scrimmage there on the Christmas break, and we didn't have anything for a long time. We're really glad to have that. I thought both teams played well, and I thought in the fourth quarter of the varsity game, or the Lone Tree played really well. The best they played was there at the end, and
But win against L&M, before the break took place there, and 4-point win over L&M. They played great defensively on the guards there, and that, good for Coach Janey and getting that win in there. I think they're getting better as well.
Well, who did you say beat that Ashton Kushner team?
Oh, Washington.
Well, I got a score here. It says Washington played Norwalk.
Washington 75, Clear Creek. Are you on KCII?
Yeah.
Should say Washington 75, Clear Creek 72, Norwalk 60. Oh, well, the one above it has the Demons beating Clear Creek 75-72. I wonder if they had a 4-team
scrimmage thing, or I don't know what it was, but I have on occasion reported the wrong scores here, and I don't know if Meepo or Central Lee or West Burlington or any of them played today. I can't imagine that there was some of them that didn't.
Well, according to Bound and all the schedules that are on Bound, I went through all that, and all the scores you gave were all the games that were played. So.
Well, it was a pretty spirited Saturday afternoon of basketball, and some schools had to play 2 games, and I think to get in their legs and win back from a Christmas break. And it was an exciting night, and I don't have anything else to say, but other than I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and are ready for a healthy and prosperous 2026. Do you have any thing left to say, Jeff?
That, and I lied because there was one more score I had. L&M did beat Highland.
Oh, how about that?
82-69. So.
82-69, L&M. Congratulations.
Second win of the year.
So Highland earlier beat Wapello in a buzzer beater game, but well, congratulations to Louisa Muscatine, Jeff's very own team that he covers, and they got a big win. Well, thanks for being with us. Once again, Merry Christmas to everybody. We got February 15th, we'll have the first Cedar Rapids Titans Arena football team. I know they have multiple guys with NFL experience on this team. I'm told I'll find out more on the 11th of January when I go up there and get in on a team meeting and find everything else about them that I can. But we're going to bring in all that starting February 15th, and I think there's a game in April and maybe 3 in May or March that we're going to give you. But I don't got anything else other than thanks for all the love you showed Round Guy Radio. It was a tremendous season for us as far as viewership, and our Facebook has done really well. I'm close on the YouTube Live. We able to get the picture up there, but I don't know. I tried to film a little bit of the JV game, and it just didn't record anything, so I switched it over to the Facebook. But I'll do some kind of a test, and one of these days, you can beat me over and over and over, Jeff, but I just keep coming. You know what I mean? I just keep getting up there, and I don't know how all this technology works, but slowly but surely I won't be beat. I will just keep going at it. Maybe another 10 times. If it's 10 more times, I'm going to get up 11. All right. Thanks for being with us, Jeff. You've been a big help this year. Good luck to everybody out there, and wishing all the teams a very successful new year.